trial of the Glebelands 8 trial has been underway in Pietermaritzburg this week. Now, yesterday, all of the accused pleaded not guilty to the 22 charges they face. Desan Tatia is our man at the KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg, and he's been following blow by blow day 3 of the trial wrapped up. Desan, what's come out today?
Marcel, well, I'm happy to report that there's finally some kind of significant movement in the case. Today we saw the state calling the first of its witnesses. 2 of them, in fact, had given testimony in the Pietermaritzburg High Court. Now, this all forms part of its case, and it's really trying to prove that the violence that we saw at the Glebelands hostel between 2014 and 2016 was largely as a result of the actions of the 8 accused that appeared in this court. What they're trying to prove mostly is that the kingpin behind all of this is the former policeman Bekukwazi Mdweshu. The state is alleging that he was running a criminal enterprise at the Glebelands hostel, and with his co-accused, they were instilling fear in the community. They're collecting money in return for the protection of certain residents. And during the operation of this criminal enterprise, there were several people that were murdered. They are being accused of 9 of those murders that took place. Now, Marcel, you'll imagine that the evidence collected at these crime scenes obviously forms a very integral part of this case, and that I imagine is why the state decided to call 2 of these crime scene investigators from the local crime record center that had given testimony today. The first of them was Mthokozisi Sishi, and he was there during a murder that, rather an attempted murder that took place in 2014. There were 4 victims in that matter, and he was the one that had arrived on the scene to collect blood samples. What the state prosecutor, Dorian Paver, is also trying to pinpoint here is whether accused number 1, that's the former policeman Mdweshu's blood, was in fact found at the scene, which in fact places him at the scene of this attempted murder. But the defense attorney here, Martin Krog, had poked holes in Sishi's testimony, saying that the photographs that he had taken of that bottle, which allegedly had Mdweshu's blood on it, was too vague. It could have been anywhere. It didn't necessarily have to be at the Glebelands hostel. He also countered the testimony by saying that he'd received other information saying that Sishi was not at the scene the day after, but in fact on the day, and he questioned whether Sishi had got his facts right. And lastly, I think most importantly, Krog also pointed out that the blood samples that were taken on that night were in fact only analyzed 4 years later in 2018.
Now, we believe that list of witnesses for this trial is a very, very long one. Which witnesses are expected next?
Definitely, Marcel. In fact, that list runs into 107 witnesses, which we'll see testifying here at the High Court over the next month or so. So it appears that the state is starting first with the evidence collectors at a very basic level of the investigation. These are the people from the LCRC. They come out to the scenes, they take photographs, they collect blood samples, and then pass those on to laboratories. And as we understand it, that will continue for at least tomorrow. The court won't be sitting on Friday, but tomorrow we expected to hear testimony from more of these crime scene investigators before the trial continues next week.